When I was a little girl, my mission in life was a lot of things. I wanted to be a mum, I wanted to be a wife, a teacher, a nurse, I wanted to be a paramedic. I wanted to be that person behind the scenes in movies who sings all the music. There's a lot of things I wanted to do, but most of all, I wanted to tell people about Jesus, and I wanted to tell my kids about God. I just wanted to tell people the good news, basically. So I was raised in a Christian family, and I just went to church with my family. I would sing at church sometimes, and pretty much I knew God was the real deal. I knew He was real. I knew He was the one you should follow. I knew that He helped me so much with a lot of things, and He was where we got our love and our joy.
You know what to fight, you know what it takes.
But then I met a lot of Christians who spread rumors and took away some of my family and made it really, really difficult for me to be able to go to church. I was quite a young girl at the time, so I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of family members. Yeah, it wasn't very fun. And I guess that put a massive dark cloud over the whole Christianity thing. And I always tried to separate God from Christians, but found it really hard. So I was at the point where I just didn't have anybody. I had no friends. I was homeschooled and I had no friends. I went from having a bunch of friends to zero. Our Christmases stopped and everything just turned sour. So I had no choice but to go to school, and I had a really bad time at school. Just all the typical things that you get at school. You know, getting bullied, being left out, you know, having teachers not care, make things harder, yell at you for things you don't do, etc. But I remember in school where a couple months I would be like, yes, I'm a Christian, I'm following God, and I would act that, and then a couple months later I'd be like, no, actually I've changed my mind, I don't want to follow God anymore, and I would also act that out. And it came to a point where I was starting to realize that I wasn't really acting like a Christian, like I was confusing everybody, and if somebody was into God or wanting to learn about God, I would be confusing them just because one minute I wanted to be a Christian, the next minute I didn't. So I decided that I can't tell people I'm a Christian, I can't call myself a Christian because I keep changing my mind. But the thing was, Jesus never left. He's not like those Christians. He's not like us people. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't hurt people. He's perfect. And by perfect, I literally mean perfect. So in my final years of high school in year 11 and 12, they were probably some of the worst years of my life. A lot of things happened, and I was just devastated, seriously, severely depressed and anxious. I had to do exams in a separate room. I was eating lunch in the toilets. Like, it was really, really bad couple of years. And there was one point near my final exams where I used to go to a lookout all the time. And in the middle of school and in my free periods and stuff, I would just go to a lookout before and after school because I just couldn't handle life. Sometimes I would sit there and play guitar and sing to the bush, and other times I would just sit there and journal, mostly. But this one time I had gone there, it was a school day, I must have gone there before or after school or something, and I was sitting there and I was journaling, and I was writing what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling, and I don't really want to say this. I don't really want to say this, but I feel like I should.
Praise be to God, my Savior, who bears my burdens.
I was sitting at the cliff that I usually sit at. It was a lookout. And I was journaling, and had this urge to jump. Really strong urge to jump. I was scared because I felt like if I moved, I was sitting and writing, and I felt like if I stood up or if I moved, I would just do it. And I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to do it. I more just wanted my life to change. And every other time I had gone to that lookout, I barely ever saw anybody come at the same time as me. I was usually always alone, and so I wasn't scared of people turning up or anything. The years leading up to that, I was severely depressed, but this was like the point where I couldn't, like, how could I? I couldn't do any more. And I remember sitting there writing, and I was like in my own headspace because I never heard anybody walk up behind me. I just heard somebody say, "Hey, how's it going?" And I turned around, and suddenly I snapped out of this like feeling where I just wanted to jump, and I had my book open that I was journaling in, and I just turned around and I saw this guy, just like middle-aged sort of guy. One hand he had a smoke, the other hand he had a Coke, and he came and sat down next to me, and he started a conversation, and he just started saying, "So how's it going? What are you up to? Do you go to school?" "Oh yeah, my daughter goes to school," just all this stuff. "How are you going? What are you doing?" And I was just, "Oh yeah, I'm just sitting here, yeah," answering the questions. He's just telling me about his life and where he lived. He didn't even live like far away. He was telling me how his daughter goes to the same school as me, and you know, all this stuff, just telling me about his life. And then he finishes his smoke, has like a bit more of his Coke, and he goes, "Oh well, have a good day," and said something like that. And I was like, yeah, you too, or something. And then he was like, "Oh, see you later." And then he left. And I looked back at my journal, and I was like, I was so close to taking the step. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes up behind me and has a chat to me, and they don't even know me. And it's weird because I'd never seen him there before. Apparently he went there all the time, but I had never seen him there before. I'd never seen anybody there when I went there. And right at the perfect moment, somebody just came. They didn't say, "How are you?" Like, "Oh, are you okay? I read your journal." They just had a chat with me, and it changed everything. And I straight away knew that that was God. I knew that he had brought that guy there, or he had used him to help me, and especially in that situation. And straight away, as soon as he left, I looked back at my journal and I just thought, okay, God, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, thank you for giving me a sign. And I wrote it in, like, I can't believe a guy just came and spoke to me. So I suddenly, obviously I was still depressed and all that, but I didn't want to jump. And that's never gone away from me, ever. And that was about 4 or 5 years ago. And that has never, ever, 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 ever left me. Obviously, I've gone through a lot of stuff since then, but that is the point where I just remember thinking, okay, God is real, and he has me, and that little tiny thing can just change me. I've been at breaking points since then, but I know that God has me, and I know that he loves me. And I know that he's real. And I know that when this world ends, when I die, even if I live a horrible life, I get to live a good one with him, finally. I knew Jesus was always the real deal, but I just couldn't. I found it so hard to separate Jesus from the Christians as much as I tried to. Suddenly I just realized, okay, God cares. He cares, and he's not like them, and he cares for me, and he cares for my life.
I will give you my love. I will give you my heart.
So So that's when I decided it didn't really matter what happened in my life. I had to follow Jesus, and I had to decide, and I had to not look back. And if I stuffed up, I stuffed up, but I can't look back. And I have to keep following God. I know He's the real deal, and I know at the end I get to be with Him. I just know He's the real deal. I can't explain it any more than that. And so many times, you know, I might stuff up and I'm like, you know, sinning or doing something wrong. I need to constantly turn away from my sins and keep following Jesus, because I know He's the real deal. And that was the day when I really thought, okay, Jesus is real, and I need to take this seriously, and I need to follow Him for the rest of my life. And yeah, I'll stuff up, I'll sin, but I can't turn away from Him ever, because I know He's the real deal. Obviously, life is still hard, and I feel like I have a testimony from then to now, really. Like, that was 5 years ago, but He saved me from something potentially really, really tragic. And I feel like there's so many things I could say about my life. I feel like I've lived 30 lives and I'm only 22. There's a lot of stories where I could use as a testimony, but this is one of the main ones that I thought about when I was thinking what my testimony is. I'd like to know yours. I guess just all glory to God, and I don't want to forget that, because it's very easy for me to forget that and bring myself back to that point. All human life matters, so that's just a part of my story. Yeah. See ya.
Trust you with my heart. You make the world, you make it a little brighter. When things get tough, can you please keep fighting? You make the world, you make it a little brighter. When things get tough, can you please keep fighting? You're here for a reason.